Hi guys, happy Black History Month. Today we're going to be reading about Black heroes, 51 inspiring people from ancient Africa to modern day USA. Last time we were reading this, we read about Nefertiti, King Tut, and Mansa Musa. Now let's begin. Queen Nzinga. Queen Nzinga was a 17th century African ruler. She is best remembered for setting her people free from slavery. Anna Nzinga was born around 1583 into the royal family of Ndongo, which ruled the kingdom that is known today as Angola. As a child, she insisted on learning the military and political activities that usually only male children learned. She proved to be better than her brother and other children at using the battle axe, which was the royal symbol of her people. After her father, the king, died, her brother was selected as the new king, but Nzinga was smart and very skilled at making deals. Although her brother treated her poorly, he called on Nzinga to help negotiate with the Portuguese, who regularly invaded the kingdom and took prisoners as slaves. She was able to get the Portuguese to leave her land and instead trade with the kingdom as equals. In 1624, she was chosen as the ruler after her brother passed away. Now in charge of the kingdom, Nzinga worked to improve and protect her territory at all costs. She was a fierce fighter and military leader, and she often led troops in battle. In order to fight off the Portuguese, Nzinga made an alliance with the Dutch. As a woman, her right to the throne was constantly threatened, but Nzinga did not let this get in her way. Throughout her reign, Queen Nzinga used her shrewd mind and political ability to increase the territory and wealth of the kingdom. Nzinga worked for the freedom and independence of her kingdom from the Portuguese. She was more successful than any other African ruler in resisting Portuguese rule. For this, she is called the Mother of Angola and the protector of her people. She is remembered today as a remarkable African woman who fought for freedom. She lived an unmarried life just like the Queen of the Amazons, and she governed the army like a female warrior, a Jesuit missionary. Speaking of Queen Nzinga. To learn more about Queen Nzinga, look for the Egypt Game by Zulfa Keatley Snyder to read an imaginative novel about three kids who invent a game about ancient Egypt that turns into a real mystery. Ignatius Sancho. Ignatius Sancho was a British composer and writer. Although he was formerly enslaved, he taught himself to read and eventually spoke out against the slave trade. Charles Ignatius Sancho was born in 1729 on a slave ship crossing the Atlantic Ocean headed to South America. Both his parents died when he was a baby. As an orphan, he was brought to England, where he was enslaved and sold to three sisters. Later, he worked for the Duke of Montagu. The Duke was impressed by Ignatius's wit and intelligence and gave him books to encourage his education. Ignatius taught himself to read and write, though it is unknown how Ignatius became emancipated and was paid wages for his work. He continued to develop his skills in reading and writing and began speaking out against the slave trade. He also wrote music, poetry, and plays. Ignatius was not only educated, he was well liked by the British elite, or wealthy, powerful people. After he left the English household, he and his wife opened a grocery store where many politicians, writers, actors, and artists would gather. Ignatius became a successful businessman in his community. He got to know several leading politicians and did not shy away from offering his advice or opinions. He often wrote about politics and the economy, and he used his popularity to spread his message and share his views, especially against enslavement. Ignatius began writing letters to abolitionists, people who wanted to end slavery, boldly criticizing the British for their part in the slave trade. Because he was so well respected, Ignatius remained a prominent figure in his community until his death in 1780. Alas, time leaves some marks of his rough fingers upon all things. To learn more about Ignatius Sancho, you can see scans of a book of Ignatius's letters published in 1784 at publicdomainreview.org. Benjamin Banneker. Benjamin Banneker was a self-educated astronomer, mathematician, and writer. Among his achievements, he is known for helping establish the boundaries of Washington, D.C. Benjamin Banneker was born in 1731 in Maryland. Both of his parents were free, so Benjamin was born free as well. As a child, Benjamin lived on a large farm and attended school when he could. When he couldn't go to school, he read as many books as he could. He especially liked science and math. Benjamin's lack of schooling did not hold him back from learning. He had a brilliant mind, which he used to teach himself mathematics and astronomy, which is the study of outer space. In 1791, Benjamin was invited to help survey and design land that would become Washington, D.C. He worked with another man to build an observatory tent and used an instrument called a zenith sector to measure the movement of the stars. Unfortunately, Benjamin's time with the surveying team was cut short when he became ill. Benjamin Banneker is most well known for writing almanacs. An almanac is a yearly calendar that contains important seasonal dates, as well as astronomical data like the phases of the moon. With his almanacs, Benjamin was able to predict moon patterns, planet movements, and the daylight hours. His almanacs also included tables that showed the high and low tides. The tables were essential to sailors who transported goods using waterways like rivers and canals. Benjamin strongly believed that slavery should be abolished. In 1792, he wrote to future President Thomas Jefferson, who was Secretary of State at the time, expressing his views. In his letter, he pointed out the injustice of white colonists in the United States wanting freedom from Britain while African Americans were enslaved. Benjamin also included a copy of his almanac to convince Jefferson that black people were capable of getting an education and achieving great things to benefit the country. Even though Jefferson was a slaveholder, he was impressed by Benjamin's achievements. Jefferson shared the almanac with others, and Benjamin gained the support of abolitionists in Maryland and Pennsylvania who helped him continue to publish his almanacs. The color of the skin is in no way connected with strength of the mind or intellectual powers. To learn more about Benjamin Banneker, check out the full text of Benjamin's letter to President Jefferson on pbs.org. And that was Black Heroes, everybody. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon in another video. Bye!